Hello, kindred spirits, and welcome back to Bits and Bob's Divination. My name is Caitlin, and today we are going to be looking into and exploring messages in which to reflect upon. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Alright, so welcome back, my beautiful kindred spirits, and anyone new who may be joining us here on the channel today. We are going to be looking into a different kind of reading, a more simple reading, although I say it's simple, but I still ended up waffling on in your guys' piles, having a lot of fun, really deep diving into each of your guys' cards, because sometimes we can do really big, elaborate spreads, but I don't have as much time to really talk about every single card, everything that I'm really picking up on. So we really get into the cards today, and I hope you guys enjoy really digging your nails into them with me. But as we do, the reason why I wanted to do messages in which to reflect upon and versus just messages that are coming forward to you is because we are in the year of the Hermit. And so I have done a whole reading on the Hermit if you want to look into that. But also just in general, it's a very reflective time of year, right? In the winter, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere. So I really wanted to look into messages in which to reflect upon because I feel like this is the perfect time for us to do some reflection, some self-reflection, as well as reflection on not only the past, but also to reflect on what's coming forward in the future. So it's a really nice pivotal reading, and I hope you guys do enjoy it. They were very interesting piles, so I'm very curious to see what you guys think. But before we go into the piles, I do want to remind you that for the rest of February, I do have relationship readings open. So if you want to deep dive into any relationship in your life and really look into any advice coming forward in the future for you for a spiritual relationship, friendship, family member, looking into a relationship with a spirit, or even with yourself or a romantic partner, then definitely feel free to reach out. I have lots of different spreads to choose from, and you can also get a digital reading through an email, or you can get one sent to you in the mail with a snail mail reading. Lots of choice here, lots of different options, lots of helpful reviews down below through my Instagram, and more information over there as well. So if you're interested in those, great way to support yourself, to support your relationships, and to support the channel. So I really do appreciate it. But let's go ahead and look at the piles. So we have 3 different piles here with 3 different kind of flavors to them. So here for pile number 1, if you're feeling called to this one, you might be feeling called to this, what I'm going to call the lava stone, because it always really just looks like a little blue lava spill. So if you're feeling called to this one, that's pile number 1 with the lava stone. Here for pile number 2, if you're feeling called to this one, we have this little cube of Lapis Lazuli. So if you're feeling called to this one, that is pile number 2. And last but not least here for pile number 3, we have this piece of blue calcite. So if you're feeling called to this light blue stone of blue calcite, then that is pile number 3. And before you start heading off to the timestamps, as always, I like to invite you to take a deep and cleansing breath here with me in a moment so you can really connect with the piles, connect with your intuition, take a moment to call in your guides and the like. So let's go ahead and take a deep breath together here now. And as always, there are no rules to this. You can choose all 3 of the piles. You can choose a pile and flip-flop and change your mind. You can take bits and pieces from each. There really are no rules here. All of the timestamps will be down below in the description alongside the chapter marks of this video. And like I said, if you're interested in those relationship readings or the other offerings that I have, such as magical spell and ritual papers, into getting your own custom stamps, as well as getting custom reading cloths and things like that for charm casting, as well as others, then definitely feel free to check all of the information for that down on my Instagram or through my other socials and the like. So I'm going to go ahead and move forward. So let's go ahead and start here with pile number 1. Hello group 1. If you decide to choose this sort of lava sort of stone, then this is the pile for you, as we are going to do a more simple reading today, looking into sort of a message to reflect on, something in which could be sort of advice for you or something to reflect on for the future or reflect on for the past. So it could go either direction or both directions. We're just going to play around here. I want to keep it quite simple with only about 4 or 5 cards and some charms. So do feel free to get yourself settled, cozy, and ready for this. But I'll have everything listed in the description down below, but we're going to be using the charms, the Under the Oak Tarot today, which I thought was perfect with like the reflecting kind of nature of it already, and the Prairie Majesty Oracle, which we're actually going to dive into the guidebook with this one. So do feel free to get yourself cozy, settled, and comfy for this. Feel free to use your own intuition as always as we move through this and see what you pick up on. I'm always curious to hear in the comments what you guys see. But we're going to pull 3 cards and just see what you need to reflect on, or some sort of message or advice sort of coming forward for that, keeping it quite open-ended. So let's see, group 1. What is a message in which is coming forward for you to reflect upon? You've already got all 3 cards. That was so quick. Let's see. So you have the Death card. I feel like this one comes out so much during the winter. We have the Ace of Pentacles, as well as the Knight of Swords. Really interesting combination of colors that we're getting here. We've got these bright, bold colors with an Ace of Pentacles in the center, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, the aces in general are usually quite positive cards, or usually have a quite positive spin. You have the Death card over here with this rising sun just before or just after, preceding a death or an ending of some sort, right? It doesn't have to be actual death. It can just be relating to a ending of some sort in our lives, something we're wrapping up, finishing, completing, maybe something sudden, maybe something that was maybe a bit bittersweet or difficult to let go of. But you do have that coming forward here with that fiery energy just behind them to show that, you know, after every ending there's always a new beginning to precede it. And then you have the Knight of Swords showing up here, which is really interesting too with this wintry energy, because this Knight of Swords is sort of sitting, I can't tell if it's sitting under the ice or just above it, but regardless it's very frozen, almost like you're kind of, it almost feels a little bit antsy is the feeling that I'm getting from this Knight of Swords. There's this cabin fever feeling, or this feeling of like wanting to use your words, or wanting to explain something, wanting to share something, wanting to get something out there, and yet you're having to wait, or you're having something keeps getting in the way, with that iced over feeling, that glaze of ice taking over and making things a little bit more difficult. So when I'm looking at all 3 of these together, and I'll go ahead and hold up the Ace of Pentacles so you can see them a bit in a bit more detail as well. But when I'm seeing all of these together, they're kind of showcasing to me that there's definitely, like I said, this antsy feeling at the forefront of it all. Because you have the antsy feeling from the icy nature of the Knight of Swords. And the Knight of Swords, of all of the different knights, right? You've got the Knight of Pentacles, the Knight of Cups, the Knight of Wands, and so forth. And so the Knight of Swords, out of all of them, is the most, at least to me, like they're the type of person who is really fast talking. They're very fast walkers. They're very quick. They want to get things done. They're always just ready to jump up and get something going. And that doesn't necessarily mean that that's you all the time, but it does mean that right now there's something that you're just bubbling up. There's this anticipatory, antsy feeling around it. And whatever it is, it does feel connected to some sort of opportunity that is coming from something that finished. Because the Death card is showcasing that, it's kind of showcasing how these are all sort of coming across. So the Death card is telling me, and you can even see the antsiness with the foxes here, that now that something is wrapping up, maybe that's just because the winter season is starting to head on its way out. I mean, it's not entirely out, depending on where you live, but there is this feeling of like something finishing, whether it's due to weather, whether it's due to the seasons, whether it's due to just something happening at work or in your job, or just good circumstances. But whatever it is, something is finishing and completing, and in that completion you have this new beginning on the horizon, but it's not there yet, right? It's just on the horizon. You can taste it, you can see it, you can look at it, but it's just not there yet. And it's showcasing that there's a new opportunity on the other side of that horizon, especially with that like same color coming forward. That's how I see that these two are very much related, but you're not there yet, right? It's not present in this Knight of Swords, which is kind of where I feel like you are. I feel like this is what we're reflecting on, is something to come in the future. And so the Knight of Swords is just telling me that right now you're in a place of annoying anticipatory energy, and what you're reflecting upon is what you're going to use that energy towards in the future as you get closer and closer to this new beginning, to this new sunrise, to this new energy on its way forward. And the energy that's on its way in is, like I said, an opportunity, especially because it's an Ace of Pentacles opportunity, usually around career, around some like home, like work that you want to work on, not literal homework, but like housework that maybe you want to work on, or whether that's in the house or outside of it, or if you're working in your yard or your garden, your garage, or whatever it might be. But there's some sort of project, a physical thing that you can touch and tangibly work on and get going, that is just at the seed stage, right? You can taste it, you can tell it's almost there, to budding and becoming something, but you can't start on it yet. And like I said, all of that orange energy is happening in the future. You're still over here waiting it out. And so I think what to reflect upon isn't that you're in this antsy stage, because you already know that, but more so to reflect on what you're going to use this energy for. Is it related to career? Is it to get something else done? Use this time to plan. Use this time to make a game plan, and use that antsy energy towards something that is productive now, something that you can still work on now, right? The ice may be there, but there's stuff underneath the ice that you can still work with. So maybe that's planning, maybe that's making calls, maybe that's making sure you have the supplies and everything in order to do the housework that you're doing. Maybe it's connecting with coworkers or whatever it might be to make sure everyone's on the same page for something that's coming in the next month. Whatever it might be, and it doesn't have to involve other people, right? This could just be a personal project as well that you're working on. But the point is the horizon is coming, or the sun on the horizon is coming. So I want to see what advice you have coming forward with an advice card that's going to be coming from the Prairie Majesty here. And we're also going to read on this one, because I like to do that every once in a while, to read on the guidebook, especially anything from the Prairie Majesty Oracle or the Song of the Grandmother's Oracle, because they're both written by Kara Simmons, and she does such a good job. So I want to see what you guys get. So let's see an advice card coming forward, and then we'll pull some charms as well to finish off your reading. Okay, I feel like that was too many. We're just going to pull one card, please. One card of advice coming forward. Okay, interesting. So you got the card of Protect, which everything else that we've had come forward has been showing like that antsy energy. So the fact that you have protection coming forward, maybe right now it's to protect your energy, or to, yes, work on things behind the scenes, or to work on the things that you can work on right now that are tangibly in your control, because you have to wait other things out for the future. But it also could be just to be protecting yourself, or to protect something else in your life that you maybe haven't been reflecting upon as this has been happening. So let's go ahead and see what this is talking about. It says for your card, Protect, with Meadowlark, with the sort of prompt energy here of, how can I safeguard what is sacred to me? How can I safeguard what is sacred to me? So let's see what Meadowlark wishes to tell you. It is in the suit of the claim suit. So it means to take back your power, or to activate and wield self-authority. So we're going to see some more here on Meadowlark. I'll hold this up here so you can read it yourself if you wish, but we're going to read it here together and see what else what other sort of energies are coming forward for you. So it says here, Meadowlark, the need to protect is an integral part of being alive. When Meadowlark lands, watch and learn. This songbird knows how to marshal her assets in defense of new life. Nesting on the ground is a valuable proposition, exposing Meadowlark and her family to skunk, coyote, and snake, among others. Her ingenuity in protecting her nest includes choosing dense areas and employing methods of concealment. Of course, Meadowlark's habits are not sure-proof. Death is inevitable. Some of her young survive, some don't. If the goal was avoiding failure, loss, or disappointment, why lay eggs in the first place? And yet, she does, usually 2 broods in a season. Meadowlark reminds us that there is a worse fate, never trying in the first place or giving up altogether. She teaches us to protect our aliveness instead of shielding ourselves from life experiences. Your dreams, aspirations, goals, and hopes are worthy of your care and attention, no matter what it takes. What do you want to outlast you? This is especially important during the valuable early stages. Meadowlark's advice may be to hold something close to your chest for now, as it gestates. Not everyone is worthy of intimacy with what you are bringing into being. Honor it by setting boundaries, defending against outside threats, and using your instincts to protect with tenderness so it can grow. Interesting that death was actually mentioned in this with, where did it say it? Death is inevitable. Some of her young survive, some don't. If the goal was avoiding failure, loss, or disappointment, why lay eggs in the first place? So that's really interesting because you actually have, like, aces a lot of the time are seen as eggs or seen as seeds. And so the fact that you have a seed kind of growing and on its way to, a new beginning, it is showing that maybe you might have a couple of difficult roadblocks in your path as well, with this showing up here and the need to protect, and how this is even kind of calling out towards the death card. And so it's also kind of giving you a bit of advice here, maybe a bit of foreshadowing that not everything is going to work out. You're going to have some things that are going to fall. You're going to have some things that are going to become mistakes. You're going to have situations that kind of go different ways than you were expecting. And so maybe being flexible as you start these new projects is going to be really important, having a flexible mindset, and also having a mindset to know going in that not everything is going to work out. You might have to reschedule things, buy new things, change something, but does that mean at the end of the day that it wasn't worth the pursuit? No, right? That it's still worth your time and energy. So I really like that this has come forward for you guys, because it gave kind of a different spin to what you maybe needed to hear. But we will finish off your reading with a bit of charms here so that you can get those last little details. So do feel free to send your energy in and we'll pull some for you. Okay, that one was stuck on my hand the whole time, which I found really interesting. As this one usually represents something that spirals or repeats in some way. It's a repeating circle, a repeating spiral. It reminds me of like a slinky as well. And it fell here on sacred. So it could be that this is maybe something that happens. Maybe it's not the first time you've come across trying to do this. Maybe it's something that's come around, or it comes around yearly, or it's something that you are already aware is on the horizon. Maybe that's where the antsiness comes from. It's not always something that maybe it's something that you're not that excited about, but has to get done too, and that you're trying to prepare for it. You do have the mountain goat, which usually represents something that, like mountain goats, they have to climb mountains. And so it does showcase that, it kind of shows it's a kind of a dual message, because when I think of mountain goats, right, we aren't mountain goats, so us climbing the mountain can be very difficult. But because you got the mountain goat, it's showcasing that yes, you're going to have to climb a mountain. Yes, it's going to be difficult, but like I said, you've already gone through maybe this before. It may not be your first time trying to accomplish this. So there is that flexibility, that there is this understanding of the landscape that you have to climb. There is this knowing that there's going to be, some pitfalls and difficult times already ahead of you, and that preparation and that mindset to be the mountain goat is really helpful. You also got on top of like the chest of a bird cage. So it also is showcasing to me too that something to really protect is your heart, putting your heart into this project. And maybe because you've done it before, maybe you haven't put your all into it or put your whole heart into it, or you're having to protect your heart as you move through this. But there is some sort of protection around the heart here. And then lastly here you have over on the first quarter moon, which usually is a moon about action, you have the sugar skull, which is related to death and honoring our ancestors and honoring our loved ones and celebrating their life. So it can be also, again, that this is related to death again in some way, but this is showcasing that, again, there's going to be difficult pitfalls that show up here, but it's only one half of the actions that you're taking. So even though you might have pitfalls, even though you may have difficult times that keep trying to push you down or make it difficult, it's still a worthy pursuit, and it's still something that maybe you're even doing that is honoring ancestors or honoring loved ones by doing so. Maybe it's working on a family home, and maybe it's working on a project related to and honoring ancestors and loved ones. Maybe it's to help them in some way, but regardless, that is showing up over here on the first quarter moon. So overall, those are all of the charms and cards that I have here for you today for messages of advice and to reflect upon. I really hope that this has been useful and helpful to you. I'd really love to hear your thoughts, as it's a different kind of reading. I haven't tried this one out before, and I'd love to hear if you enjoyed it. And if you did, definitely be sure to let me know in the comments down below and give this video a like if you did like it. And if you're interested in these pick a card readings, whether it's the really big expansive ones that I do or these more simplified calm ones, then definitely feel free to subscribe, as I put out new readings every single Monday, as well as educational videos on charm casting, art, magic, and the like. So I hope you do find something here. And if you're interested in a relationship reading, I still have relationship readings open till the end of February. So definitely feel free to check out the snail mail and digital reading options that I have for those. There's also different price points and different ways in which you could get them, lots of honest reviews and all of that over on my Instagram. It's a great way to support yourself, to support a relationship in your life, as well as to support this channel and keep it running. So thank you to everyone who's checked those out, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye. Hello group 2, if you decide to choose this piece of Lapis Lazuli, then this is the pile for you, as we are going to look into messages that are coming in to reflect upon. And that could be reflecting on something in the past, it could be reflecting on something in the future, it could be somewhere in between, or something that happened yesterday, who knows. We're just going to see. We're going to keep this quite open-ended, and we're also going to look into any advice that's coming forward with the Prairie Majesty Oracle, and see what you get in that regard. And we're actually going to go and dive into the guidebook, because I feel like it's a great way to sort of prompt a bit of reflection as well as action steps for the future. We also have the charms here, which we're going to be looking into, and the tarot deck that I chose today is actually the Under the Oak Tarot, because one, I feel like it's a very wintry deck for me for some reason, but also I just loved how reflective the edges were, and I felt like it just really matched and tickled my brain. So we are going to get right into it. All of the supplies, as always, will be listed down below in the description in case you're curious. But let's see what you got coming in for messages in which to reflect upon. And we're going to keep this quite simple, right? It's not a lot of decks, so we're going to keep it quite simple. So messages to reflect upon, group 2. And definitely feel free to really connect with the deck yourself and see what comes forward. Group 2, messages to reflect upon. Okay, so you have the Queen of Cups coming forward. This is just a gorgeous Queen of Cups. Can we just talk about that for a second? It's such a pretty card. So you have the Queen of Cups coming forward, surrounded by the King of Pentacles. Interesting with the, I don't remember what the mythological creature is here, but you've got like the sort of same snake figure showing up in both of these, as well as the Knight of Cups, all court cards. Really, really interesting to be getting the Knight of Cups, the Queen of Cups, and the King of Pentacles, almost like a succession of time, or a sort of reflection of different life stages that maybe you're going through right now, or working towards, either from the past or working, like I said, towards in the future. Very interesting. It's always quite difficult, at least to me as a reader, when you get all court cards, because it gives you really no context outside of sort of personality traits, or sometimes to showcase the type of action. We can start with the action feeling that we have coming forward with the Knight of Cups, because the Knight of Cups showcases a much more simple, fluid feeling. In this case, they're all statues based off of the kind of deck feel that this deck has, with the more Greek mythology coming forward. But the Knight of Cups in general usually talks a lot about our moving into a more fluid state with our emotions, our feelings, how we're moving and approaching the world as well, in a place of like more of a river flowing versus trying to control things. So there could be a feeling of you moving from a place of wanting to control things, wanting to keep things in a place of control, and trying to go with the flow a little bit more. And not only are you starting to go with the flow a little bit more, but you're moving into the Queen of Cups as well in the center. This feels like your past. This feels like where you're heading. This feels like where you're at. And so the Queen of Cups here is kind of where you're at right now, especially with the snake or whatever right there in the center of this. It definitely feels like, then again, like you're on your way towards the King of Cups. So you've gone from a place of opening up your heart, going into a place of less control, wanting to flow and be in a more of a flow state, and then really diving into that with the Queen of Cups, as the Queen of Cups is very watery. They're very fluid, sometimes to a fault, where they want to people please, they want to make sure everyone else is feeling good, and again, they're not putting out boundaries or allowing themselves to be heard, because they're very much just trying to dote on everyone else and make sure everyone else is doing well, which can make them feel good, yes, but it does mean that others can take advantage of you. And so maybe that is the reason why you are swapping from the Queen of Cups and moving into an energy of the King of Pentacles. And this is a really interesting King of Pentacles, because usually the King of Pentacles is very like stoic and kind of like surrounded by their money, their wealth, and all of the energy that they've acquired. And this King of Cups, yes, they're surrounding all of the wealth and money and time and energy that they've acquired, right? It's they've got like a crown upon their head. They have it surrounding them here. But there's this deep need to protect as well, with all of these like lightning strikes coming forward. And so I really feel like there's this need to protect yourself and wanting to protect your heart once again. So what happens between the Queen of Cups and the King of Pentacles here is going to be such a drastic shift, because you're going from a place of like super fluid, super just letting other people maybe take control, allowing things to just happen as they do, go with the flow state, to I need to protect myself, I need to put out boundaries, I need to make sure that I'm safe. And usually because that comes forward, this is showcasing some sort of action that happens between. And so what that action is, we're not entirely sure. So I really feel like we should pull another card to get a little bit more information. Or maybe we'll wait for the charms to do that. I don't know if you guys read cards as well, but sometimes I find as a reader, you want to pull another card. But sometimes I feel like that muddles up the reading in ways. So I'm going to pull another card, but if you feel like that does not fit, feel free to use your own intuition and see what comes forward. But I feel like I'm going to pull another card and see what might be happening between this Queen of Cups to this King of Pentacles shift. And maybe some of you already know what this is, because maybe it's all reflection. But we're going to see. You've got the Two of Cups. So it feels related to a relationship of some sort, because the Two of Cups represents a deep relationship, a deep connection with another person. In this case, you have, these two figures here, and there's even the intertwining here. So there's this intertwined, deeply connected relationship, this very intimate relationship with another person, whether that is a friendship, whether that's a romantic relationship, a family member, a stranger you met on the street and you guys became best friends. I don't know what it is, but regardless, some sort of relationship is feeling, I don't know, I wouldn't say severed, but it definitely feels like between these two, we went from a place of being super open and super deeply like connected and intimate, and there's such a watery feeling to it. The Knight of Cups even can talk about like crushes, and like when you just start crushing on someone, or you're just starting to get into a relationship with someone, and by the Queen of Cups, you're really deeply connected. And so to have this relationship now all of a sudden go to a place of boundaries does not necessarily mean it is a bad thing, right? This kind of sounds like, the end of a relationship or something getting severed or betrayal or whatever, but it didn't come out as the Three of Swords. It didn't come out as a bad place, but rather there maybe is just a need for communication. Maybe that's something to reflect upon for you, is just a need to communicate, need to put out these boundaries, making sure to really look after yourself and make sure that other people aren't taking advantage of that. So there's something showing up here where a change in this relationship is needed, some communication is needed, some clarity is needed for it to grow sustainably long term, and for it to continue to flourish. Because if it continues without these boundaries, then you're going to have people taking advantage, or you're going to find that you are the relationship is very much, the power dynamic there is very off. And so I want to look at your advice card coming in as we move through this as well. So we're going to pull an advice card and see what you guys get. And we're definitely going to read into it, because I'm very curious to see what it has to say for you all. I like these cards as well because they tend to have a prompt at the top for you guys to reflect upon. You could even write it down and journal if you'd like. I feel like it's going to be this back card. Okay, so you got Prairie King Snake. I love this card. And you got the snake again. The snake energy is coming forward very, like, deeply for you guys. Not only did you get the snake here and the snake here, but even and here, but also the like bluebells or whatever they might be here are even coming in that same sort of snake shape. And so there's something showing up with snakes, and a lot of the time, right, we think of snakes as being something to protect ourselves from, of course, but also we can think of them as someone snaking in or being kind of slithery, being a little bit shady in some way, or hiding something. But you do have shed coming in here, which means that maybe there's just some honesty needed here, or within that relationship there's something showing up here where we need to shed something from the past, a version of yourself or a way in which you're approaching the relationship, or they're even approaching the relationship for you both to move forward. This also does speak to fear and anxiety that you might be having within this relationship, to maybe speak up. So we're going to read on what it says, but it says, "How can I know myself is bigger than any fear? Prairie King Snake Shed." And it is in the green claim suit with it's cards to inspire taking back your power by activating and wielding self-authority. I'll go ahead and hold this up here in case you want to read it yourself, but we are going to read it together and see how it connects to everything else here. I can't believe you got so many snakes. You're welcome to also look into mythology on snakes or look deeper into the symbolism of snakes if you wish to. I think it'd be actually probably really helpful for you, especially when you're thinking in relation to relationships. So anyway, let's go ahead and read this. So it says, "Prairie King Snake, picture yourself walking through the prairie on a warm summer night. To your left, the sun melts into the sky like a scoop of sherbet pooling on the pavement in the heat. You can hear songbirds trilling and the occasional rustle of small rodents. You relax into the moment, your fingers trailing the long grasses as you meander towards a creek up ahead. A few feet away, slight movement in the rocks near the water catches your eyes. A snake. Pause and pay attention. How is your body reacting? What does the snake activate inside you? When Prairie King Snake appears, it's probably time to shed a fear, worry, or anxiety of some kind. You've outgrown it. Notice whether any power it held over you in the past feels tight and constricting. Are you ready to see and name the source? Imagine yourself going right up to the Prairie King Snake and looking right into their eyes. Be willing to bear witness for yourself and trust whatever comes to mind. Though mistaken for rattlesnake, Prairie King Snake is actually non-venomous. He's also impervious to the poison of other snakes, and may even eat them, thus the king in his name. Telling snakes apart can be tricky without closer inspection. Similarly, we have to practice discernment in identifying fears, illusions masquerading as truths. Stand firm in your knowing of who you are and your connection to a higher power. Plus, additional cards may help you out now. Remember, the eternalness of your spirit is always ensured. Exercise your authority to tune into the consciousness within you and receive insights of what would be most helpful at this time. So, okay, I really like that this is talking about how sometimes we have fears that are very much valid, but sometimes we have fears, sorry, I've got stuff in my throat, but we have fears that feel very real, feel very difficult, feel very scary. But until we find the actual truth, maybe a truth within a relationship in which you need to clarify and get clarity on, we're just going to continue to make ideas up in our head, make scenes and ideas, and what is true is getting lost. So I feel like you're in a stage within your relationship where you need to really face the snake head on and really see what it has to say, because if it continues to grow in each of these scenes, then it's going to continue to be something you feel like you need to protect yourself against. And again, that fear may be very valid, but until you're able to actually find the source of it, until you're actually able to name it truly, or to be able to talk it out with someone to understand and find clarity within this anxiety that you may have, this fear or this nervousness or this idea of a truth in your head, you won't actually be able to move forward. And that isn't to say if you have a conversation with someone that you are looking for the truth from, you're looking for clarity from this person, and you're not finding that clarity, or you feel like you can't believe what they are saying, then there's already a bit of a, issue when it comes to trusting someone and feeling trust in the relationship, which is already a bit of a wobbly thing anyway. So right now I think that the prairie king snake is showing that there is a fear or an anxiety in which you need to shed through clarity and through a conversation and through understanding with another person. And whatever you find on the other side is up to you, what you decide to do, right? What you decide to do when you face this snake. But the snake is there regardless. And so I definitely see that coming forward for you guys here as a bit of advice to face the snake head on and see what it has to say, rather than it continuing to just be this lingering thing within this relationship. So let's go ahead and pull some charms to finish off your reading and see if we get anything else. Feel free to have a little chat with them first, and I'll pull some for you. Okay. It's interesting that this one rolled away, because this is actually a charm to showcase the unknown, and where you're literally rolling away from the unknown, the things that you don't know, the stuff that you can't explain, the clarity that you are not able to find. And so there's something unknown here, a truth that needs to be revealed for sure. And it fell first on the relationship card, but rolled away. So I do find that really interesting that it wanted to continue to roll away. You do have here with how, on the how do I move forward advice that maybe you're looking for. The key to it is to open up your heart and to open up a conversation that is very truthful, honest, coming from a real place with real feelings involved, and to hear them out as well, to hear the other person out, but also to have them hear how you are feeling. Like I said, sometimes you can find that you want to please them more than yourself, or please and make it one-sided. And so the key is showing up here for that, to the key to your heart. And you got, oh my gosh, I'll zoom you in, but you have the snake. Look at how tiny this little charm is, and the fact that it came out. That's crazy how many snakes you guys have coming forward. You also might just be, maybe there's someone, a spirit guide that is a snake coming forward to kind of help you along right now, or maybe snake mythology or symbology, or spirits are coming forward for you guys right now, but you definitely have the snake. So there's not much else to say. Like, they're just saying that there is a snake for sure within this relationship right now. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the snake is bad, right? The king snake isn't necessarily bad. It's primed for its environment. It does what it needs to do. Snakes aren't actually bad, just like spiders aren't bad. They're just, our fear of them, the way in which we react to them, is what can be the difficult part. And so reacting from a calmer place, a place of knowing that maybe you're going to find something bad in this relationship, maybe you're going to find something good out of it in the end. Just changing your perspective on how you approach it, being flexible and open for some communication, I think is just really important right now, especially since this particular snake sort of forms a little heart. So there is, again, that need to really open up your feelings and be honest and true. So that is also coming forward here, again, for you all. Oh, and I just realized there is also one more charm. You have the overwhelmed charm. So it's really interesting that this fell over here on the crush. Because for me, how I like to talk about crushes, especially because, like, I feel like this is in the past, so we're reflecting, right? But when we talk about crushes, a lot of the time we're talking about a fictive, we're talking about a fiction of someone whom we are infatuated or obsessed with or excited about. And it's because we make up all of these ideas of who they are in our head, but we don't actually know the reality of them until we face it and see the real things about them. And so this overwhelmed feeling coming forward here is just making me think that the crush energy maybe with this person, and it doesn't have to be like an actual crush if it isn't romantic. It can also just be that you were really excited to become friends with them, or you were really excited to connect with family, and you had all these ideas of who they were and how you'll meet them and how you'll react and all of this stuff. And how that has come to reality has probably changed how you see them. So there is something showcasing there to kind of give you a little bit more to reflect upon. But overall, I know this was a very small reading in terms of how much we pulled, but I actually went to the full time I usually do for these readings, so I hope you guys did enjoy this and found this to be useful and helpful in some way. And if you did, definitely be sure to give this video a like, and let me know in the comments down below, maybe with a little snake emoji, what you guys saw, and if you saw something different or something else that maybe I didn't see in the imagery. I would love to hear. And if you're interested in these pick a card readings, I put them out every single Monday, as well as educational videos on charm casting and art magic sprinkled in throughout too. So definitely feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're interested in the relationship readings I do for both snail mail and digital reading options, then definitely feel free to check out all the information and helpful honest reviews down below through my Instagram, as I have been offering those for those of you who want to look into a particular relationship in your life, whether it's with a friend, a family member, or a spiritual relationship as well, or even a relationship to yourself in which you want to look deeper into. If that interests you, then it's a great way to support yourself, to support the relationship that you're in, as well as support the channel here in this space. So if that is something that interests you, feel free to check out all the information down below and reach out with any questions you might have. And I'm going to go ahead and close off your guys' reading. I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye. Hello group 3, if you've decided to choose this piece of blue calcite, then this is the pile for you, as we are going to be exploring the charms as well as the Prairie Majesty Oracle and the Under the Oak Tarot to look into any messages that are coming forward that you need to reflect upon, or something in which the cards wish to share with you to reflect upon, whether that's to reflect on something in the past, in the future, a bit of both. It's been a bit of both for most of the readings so far. And we're also going to pull an advice card as well and really dive into the guidebook to see advice that's coming forward for you, especially since we're in a Year of the Hermit. And if you haven't seen the reading that I have on the Year of the Hermit card, then feel free to check it out up here. But because we're in that sort of wintry hermit energy, at least here in the northern hemisphere, I felt like it was really good to get a little bit of reflection on in for this season. So feel free to get yourself cozy and settled and comfortable for this. I'll have everything as always listed down below for what I'm using, but we're going to start out with the Under the Oak Tarot, which I talked about with the other piles. I felt like was perfect with how reflective it is, so that just tickles my brain. But we're going to get started here. Feel free to send your own energy into the deck, really connect with them. They've been giving us some wild connections recently, especially with pile number 2. So we're going to see what comes forward for you guys. So group 3, what reflections do you need to see or seek right now? What messages are coming forward for you to really reflect upon? Got the Hanged Man, the Page of Swords, lots of blue, as well as the Fool. Okay, so let's just have a little look here. I like that there's a lot of color connections that have been coming forward today, where it really feels like with the Fool, right, we've got like these burning oranges and everything coming forward, and then by the time you get to the Page of Swords, it's wintry, things are much more calm. You also have like this very blue energy, these little snow what are they called, snowdrops down here with the white as well. And then right in the center you have something kind of in between, right? We've got this fall energy, we have this energy of kind of reflection with the calming blue. And so this really feels like a source of time for us, especially since we've got these autumn features. We have more of the winter, and then this feels almost sort of summery or just the start of autumn. And so the fact that you have all of this coming forward, this could give you a bit of timing for how this is reflecting or moving forward. If you are in the northern hemisphere, this is probably moving towards where you are now, and this is the past, whereas if it's the other way around, if you're in the southern hemisphere, it may be all towards the future for you. So feel free to see how you feel like you're fitting into this. But I feel like the majority of us, of the people who watch this channel, are from the northern hemisphere, so I'm going to kind of look at it more towards that perspective for you all. So if this is where you are right now, I feel like you are currently in the Page of Swords. And the Page of Swords is an energy to showcase a feeling of being very new to something. I know this particular Page of Swords doesn't show it off a lot because it shows more of the Nordic energy to it with the runes and everything, and a rune stone here, but I don't know, with these like little innocent butterflies floating around and the innocence of spring on its way, showing up with these little snowdrops at the bottom, a spring to be on its way, it kind of feels like you are opening yourself up to kind of trying something new, getting out of your comfort zone, doing something that isn't so solid. And so it almost feels like this figure that has been carved into the stone almost feels like they're awakening within it, and by the time spring comes in, it's not necessarily that they'll have melted, but they'll have kind of chipped away and been reborn again. There's this feeling of you being in a situation where you're currently sort of going through a sort of metamorphosis, or feeling like you are coming out of a chrysalis, you know, of something new. And the Page of Swords usually is showcased as someone holding a sword, and they're kind of holding it really awkwardly. They don't really know what they're doing. They kind of just look a little bit like out of place, but they're trying anyway. And so when I think of the Page of Swords, it represents someone who is doing something new, something outside of their element, something that they haven't done before, that they don't feel comfortable in, that might look awkward or silly or weird, but they try it anyway, and they make mistakes anyway, and they fail anyway, and they get back up again and try it anyway. And so that's what I'm really getting here for the energy you are currently in, where you are on your way into opening and unlocking some new hobby, some new career, some new project that you're feeling ambitious about, something that's worth failing for, worth trying and failing for. And maybe that's worth is because you're excited about it, or maybe that worth is because the money that you're going to receive from it, the value that you place in it, whatever it might be. The point is that you're in that mindset. But as we reflect back, how did you get here is really important. And so you're coming from a Fool energy all the way back here in possibly the summer, or at least something that feels at least 6 to 8 months ago. And the Fool energy is all about being kind of the leap of faith, believing in yourself, even if you can't see what's around the corner, even if you're about to dive off a cliff, even if you have a companion here who's going to follow you to the end. The point is that you are in a space or a mental mindset where you are just ready to cliff dive off of whatever it is that you were going to try, and you were going to just go all in. But then you move into the place of the Hanged Man, or the Hanged One, as I like to call it, where you are now kind of settling, you're kind of slowing back down, you're tying yourself up and putting yourself in a place of reflection, of a place of slowing down, a place of purposefully reflecting. As you can see, they're even looking into a reflecting pool here as they kind of hang themselves up in a way in which to kind of hold themselves back. And so you went from a place of like, oh my God, I'm gonna just cliff dive off everything, I'm gonna go for anything, I have everything in my favor, to I need to slow down, calm down, chill out again. And then to a place of, I'm not ready yet to be at the Fool, but I am starting to feel like it's time to move again, because you went from a place of just sort of holding yourself back to literally being a stone. So the drastic nature between each of these cards is really interesting to me, and I think what to reflect upon is just that you are going to continue to metamorphosize, and you tend to metamorphosize a lot with the seasons. I personally am like this. I know a lot of people are, where the seasons truly do affect your energy. They affect how motivated you are, affect how your mood, your feelings towards other people, the way in which you approach situations. And I feel like this is to reflect upon how those seasons, and how even your own personal seasons, whether it's not related to weather, but your own personal seasons tend to repeat themselves. And so for you, I feel like you're going from a place of like, oh my God, I can do anything, to maybe I should slow down, to wow, I've really slowed down, I need to do something again, to repeating and moving through this cycle. And so maybe this is just to reflect upon how you tend to approach the world based off of your own personal seasons, or the seasons around you. So let's see what else is coming forward for you with a bit of advice moving forward. So I'm going to pull you an advice card, and then we're going to really read on it. I like that these cards have personal prompts at the top to give you a little bit more information, which you're welcome to journal upon, to look into deeper. Okay, interesting, you got reflect here, especially with the Hanged One and that reflection energy, and the fact that we're talking about things to reflect on. You have, what does standing still reveal, with the Great Blue Heron with reflect. Let's go ahead and look into what this card wants to reveal to you. So it is in the No suit, and it says, the pink No cards assist with translating intuition into thought forms to harness the power of your conscious mind. And the Great Blue Heron here, I'll have it up here in case you want to read it yourself, but we're going to go ahead and read it together with the Great Blue Heron. So, dropping into stillness takes but a moment, and yet there are times when it sounds like it's the hardest thing to do. It isn't. You have the capacity to quiet your mind and connect with your own knowing, no matter what else is happening. Great Blue Heron says, come, stand in the river with me. Let us be still together and watch for ripples below the surface. Whatever preceded great blue heron's present today, imagine it rolling off your body. As it hits the water, allow it to be held there and paused. If it is yours to take up again, it will still be there afterwards. And if it isn't, let that be an answer. For now it is only you and the heron wrapped in the soft silence. Next to you, a sudden stabbing and swallowing by your companion. He tidily recoils his neck and sinks back into patiently waiting. Insights reveal themselves in their own time and at their own pace. Great blue heron says, sometimes we must stop moving and let them find their way to us. Really interesting because with the Page of Swords, I was talking a lot about, what is to come, right? What is to come is that same feeling of the fool, of just like taking things on, taking chances, making mistakes, failing anyway, trying anyway, letting that awkwardness come in anyway. But the thing is, that's to come, sure. And you probably know this because, like I said, this is a cycle you probably go through every year. But just because the cycle is, continuing to tick away, the clock is continuing to, or the wheel of the year is continuing to turn, doesn't mean that you aren't still allowed to continue to be the stone, to be in that place of reflection, to stand still and wait for that feeling to come forward. Because sometimes we can try to push it forward or make it happen. When winter is still here, this is still the season you are in, and it's the season that will most benefit you if you continue to allow yourself to sort of see what comes forward and reveals itself in that reflective state, in that state of slowing down and being more tender with yourself. Definitely something to reflect upon with the prompt question of what does standing still reveal to you? So let's go ahead and pull you some charms to get the final little information that we need and any other advice coming forward, and then we'll close off your reading. So feel free to have a little chat with them and we'll pull some for you. Okay, we got charms flying all over the place here. So let's zoom you in and have a little look. I'm going to go ahead and put this one in since it fell off the little mat here. So you have some sort of just surrounding the entire reading, which I wanted to look at. You have the heavy charm, so it represents something that feels heavy, feels like a weight, feels like something that you're really having to hold around, and that's falling over towards the last quarter moon, which represents something to let go of, something to release. So you are in the process of, it almost feels like by reflecting upon things, standing still upon things, that's the time where you can slowly release these stones, slowly over time, kind of chip away at the surface, like I talked about earlier, and reveal yourself in the end anew. But it's going to take one chip at a time, and allowing yourself to move through each chip at a time as it happens. There also is this overwhelmed feeling showing up here at the top with the Hanged One, which tells me that the reason why maybe you need to reflect, or the reason why you need that Hanged One energy of slowing yourself down purposefully around the autumn season heading towards the winter is because it can get overwhelming. Maybe overwhelming because again, that's just how you tend to feel around that time of year. Or it could just be because there's a lot of events around that time of year and it gets overwhelming and you need to slow yourself down or to, ease off the pedal a little bit. Maybe it's due to holiday stress. Maybe it's due to other personal goals and information and things and situations that are happening for you. You also have the fall in love charm. I've rewritten this so many times that it just keeps coming off, but it used to say fall in love on here, so that's why I have it on this little clothespin. But it's the fall in love charm. So it does mean that maybe the reason why this reflection and what you might gain at the end of it is maybe some more self-love or self-care, but also just in general, this could be what you were feeling overwhelmed about back in the fall is related to love, maybe relationships in some way that has kind of caused you to need to kind of cocoon. And then you also have the bottle tab charm, which I think is interesting when these two kind of come up together, because this is feeling overwhelmed and it's like you're about to pop your top here. And then whenever I see this one, it makes me think of when you open like a can, right? With the little tab here, it's like a release of something that has been bottled up for a while. And so what does standing still reveal? It reveals something that needed to be released quite a while ago, something that you're chipping away at and working through over the winter season through reflection. And it's possibly something that felt very sharp, or something that happened back in the summer and you're now reflecting upon it in the winter, or reflecting upon it now as it has revealed itself as something that felt sharp in the past. So overall, those are all of your charms and cards that I have for you here, group 3. I hope that this has been useful to you and helpful to you. You had a very interesting pile that really kind of went through quite a span of time, so I'd really be interested to hear your thoughts down below in the comments, and if you saw something differently in the colors and the shapes and the mythology behind the cards or others, I'd love to hear. And if you did enjoy it, definitely be sure to give this video a like as well. It really helps the algorithm and keeps this place running. And if you're interested in the pick a card readings that I do, like this one, I put out new readings every single Monday, as well as sprinkle in some on charm casting, art magic, stamp tours, and the like, so do feel free to subscribe if any of that or all of that intrigues you. And for the rest of February, if you're interested in a relationship reading, whether that's with a family member, a friend, a romantic relationship, self-love, or even with a spirit guide of your own, then definitely feel free to check out the relationship readings I have down below to look at the different ways in which your relationship is growing, evolving, changing, or any advice coming forward for you. So if that interests you, I have helpful and honest reviews down below and through my Instagram for more information on those. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions or you'd like one of your own, as it's a great way to support yourself, to support your relationship, and to support the channel here. So with that all said, I'm going to go ahead and close off your reading. Thank you so much for being here with me today, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.